down on Higgy Road. We originally received the call for a fire in a building with some explosions. This house actually heard the explosions before they were even dispatched. As soon as we pulled out of the bay, we could obviously see that there was a lot of fire, big large column of smoke. Upon our arrival, we were met by the 3 workers that were there. We knew that we had a large fire that we were going to have a hard time containing. We asked them if they were all safe. All the employees, none of them were injured. They advised us there was about 10 chemicals that they used consistently in that building. So at that point, we made the decision that life safety was first. So once they were safe, we didn't want to put our firefighters in harm's way because we could see explosions that were creating mushroom clouds there. So we immediately began evacuating our residents and the businesses around this area. We started with a quarter-mile radius, and then we extended that to a half-mile radius. After a while, we were, with the help of drone technology, we were able to realize that the main structure of the building the fire had diminished enough to where we could start attacking it before it made it to the next section. So with the help of the St. Louis City foam unit and the firefighters that were on the scene here, we decided to make an attack at that specific time. It took us about an hour and a half of active firefighting to finally get the fire under control. At one point, we had 62 companies here from 13 mutual aid agencies. We were at a total of 4 alarms. And this was the first time that I had ever used drone technology. And it gave us a tremendous advantage because with the help of the workers that were here, they were able to tell us from looking at the drone video that container's empty, this one's full, this one has a certain type of a chemical in it. So it allowed us to attack the fire in a certain way. We did have one firefighter that was injured firefighting. He is okay. He was transported to the hospital. I believe he was overheated when he was doing some firefighting with the city foam unit. But thankfully, we're happy that he's okay. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. We did get some preliminary reports that it could have been caused by an electrical short or some static electricity in a machine that they were using. But at this time, all our residents are back in their home. All the streets are open. There's still an active investigation going on down there. Metropolitan Sewer District has cleared the sewer lines. The Department of Natural Resources, they've blocked off some creeks until they could do a little further evaluation. But overall, everybody went home. The people that worked at the company were very helpful when we got there. We appreciated their input, and I'm just glad that the residents were safe and all these firefighters are home safe.
Is that exactly how the firefighter was injured again?
I believe he wasn't with us. He was on one of the sides, off of one of the side streets that was attacking it. I think they were moving some hose lines forward, and it was a pretty long hose drag, probably over 500 feet from where the truck was to where they had to get the hoses to them. So they were using some pretty large diameter hoses, and it is very labor intensive, and I think just that stress on him made it to the point where he might have just overworked himself a little bit. But at that point, thankfully, we had 4 ambulances on the scene. He was picked up immediately, and he was transported within minutes.
Where does the investigation go from here?
Well, we have an upstart because we think we know what started. So we don't have to, because if you just looked at the building there, it's just total devastation. And we would have had a hard time just by looking at nothing but twisted metal, and basically the wooden part of the structure is gone. But we really don't have any reason not to believe. They make adhesive there primarily. We believe it was an adhesive mixing machine. And he talked through the process about how it's grounded, and what he described could have happened. We believe that it happened that exact way. Nothing that he told us leads us to believe anything different.
Is that building condemned?
I'm sorry?
That structure condemned? The building?
Oh yeah, the building is totally destroyed. When we first got there, there was a tanker next to the structure, a smaller tanker that we knew contained solvent that was about half full from what the employees told us. So the first building was totally engulfed, and there were mushroom cloud fires from the barrels of the chemicals in there, and we could hear that tanker venting that it was obviously, heat impinging on it. So it's either going to crack open, melt, or explode. So when we heard that venting sound in active fire situation that certainly put a panic in all of us that we needed to evacuate that neighborhood. And from the chief's point of view, we didn't need any firefighters to get close to that.
Have you ever experienced something like this?
No, nothing. And I've been chief here for 5 years, and we have talked about that building a lot. And I came from the house on Gravois that's about 2 miles away, and I rode here with my assistant chief. And when we got in the car, he's like, "This is always the facility that makes us nervous because there's so many chemicals." And when the doors went up, I could see a mushroom cloud that was probably 400 feet in the air. So everybody knew pretty quick. And this firehouse here is, you know, quarter mile away. They heard the explosion, so they kind of knew what they were going into. But they also knew how to be safe. So when they got there, they made sure that those people were accounted for, and that took a tremendous pressure off, and then we went more into the life safety mode.
We've seen a couple of little EPA violations that are trying to make sense of. Do you know any trouble?
I haven't seen any of them yet. I haven't been given that information today. I mean, we're certainly going to look into that, but from their actions today, what that company did, I can't give them really nothing but praise because they met us quick. They told us what was in there. They gave us updates as the fire was moving, and they actually helped us quite a bit.
Did you say there were 3 people working there?
There was 3 people working there.
Chief, maybe speak a little bit more on that drone part of that, how that gave you an advantage to see what otherwise you wouldn't be.
Yes, we would have never been able to see. There was pictures that the smoke was so black and so thick and dark that we couldn't see within 300 feet of the building that was actually burning. So periodically the wind would shift and that smoke would blow, and if we had a drone on top with that employee sitting there with us, with the help of the St. Louis County Hazmat team showed up. And that's the other thing I want to talk about is just this little fire department in Affton, we could never have handled that. If we would not have had those 62 trucks there, it would have been catastrophic. And with the county hazmat team there, looking at the drone footage and knowing what those chemicals were and doing their research instantly, we were able to say, look, when this tanker burns to this point, it should die down a little bit, and that's when we need to go in there. We wouldn't have known that if those drones from University City and Melville, if they wouldn't have been over the top of us, we would have not known. Hey, you have a window you could do some attacking and save half that facility. So it was the first time I've ever used them, and Affton's probably going to buy a drone.
Anything else, guys? Good?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is anybody hanging out front to do any shot training? Yeah, no worries. So it's going to be.
Are those drone, they're stills, or it's easily transportable?
Do you have any of that digital drone footage, or is that all that? And if you could, you're just looking for maybe like a 10 or 15 second clips.
You are smart.